Welcome back to Health Reimagined. Today, we're taking you on a breathtaking journey literally through the human respiratory system. You breathe around 20,000 times a day. But have you ever imagined what that process actually looks like inside your body? Let's dive into a world of airways, protective mechanisms, millions of alveoli, and the remarkable muscles that keep you alive every second. Every breath you take carries a mixture of gases, oxygen, water vapor, nitrogen, and trace gases. But before this air ever reaches the lungs, your body puts it through a meticulous filtration process. Inside the nasal cavity, tiny nose hairs act like the first security checkpoint, trapping larger dust particles or even small insects. Deeper inside, a moist mucous membrane lined with cilia, the tiny hair-like structures captures smaller particles. These cilia move in a coordinated wave-like motion, sweeping mucus and trapped debris toward your throat, where it's simply swallowed. This entire process is called mucociliary clearance, one of your body's most important respiratory defenses. As air passes smoothly down the throat, another critical structure protects you, the epiglottis. Every time you swallow, the epiglottis folds down like a protective lid, blocking the entrance to the lower airway. This ensures food and liquids travel into the esophagus, not the trachea. A simple flap of cartilage, but a life-saving one. Just below the larynx sits the trachea, a sturdy tube kept open by C-shaped rings of cartilage. These rings prevent the airway from collapsing as you breathe. At its lower end, the trachea splits into two main bronchi, one leading to the left lung, which has 2 lobes, and one leading to the right lung, which has 3 lobes. Your lungs may look similar, but they're not perfectly symmetrical because your heart rests slightly toward the left. Inside the lungs, each main bronchus branches again and again, forming what we call the bronchial tree. It looks remarkably like an upside-down tree, with increasingly smaller branches. At the very ends of these branches are the bronchioles, tiny tubes that no longer have cartilage. Instead, they're surrounded by elastic fibers and smooth muscle, allowing them to expand and contract as needed. These little airways guide every breath you take toward the most important structure in your lungs. At the end of each bronchiole lie clusters of microscopic air sacs called alveoli. Your lungs contain between 300 and 400 million of them. Each alveolus measures only about 50 micrometers across, so small you could fit several across the width of a human hair. The alveolar walls are incredibly thin, built mainly from type 1 alveolar cells. This thinness makes gas exchange possible. Oxygen passes easily from the air into the blood, while carbon dioxide diffuses in the opposite direction. Surrounding every alveolus is a dense web of capillaries. Red blood cells flow through these vessels, picking up oxygen. Inside each red blood cell, hemoglobin binds to oxygen using iron, forming the perfect transport system for delivering oxygen to every corner of your body. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide, a waste product from your cells, leaves the blood and enters the alveoli, ready to be exhaled. This exchange happens silently, efficiently, and continuously thousands of times an hour. Gas exchange in the lungs depends entirely on concentration differences. The alveoli contain a high concentration of oxygen. The blood arriving in capillaries contains a high concentration of carbon dioxide. Because of this, gases naturally shift to balance the difference. This simple yet powerful process is called diffusion, and it's the foundation of breathing. Breathing isn't just about the lungs, it's about movement, pressure, and the incredible teamwork of muscles. For chest breathing, muscles in the neck stabilize and lift the upper ribs. Intercostal muscles between the ribs pull them upward and outward. This motion expands the chest cavity, similar to lifting the handle of a bucket known as the bucket handle movement. At the same time, the sternum moves forward like the handle of a pump called the pump handle movement. These combined actions increase chest volume, creating negative pressure inside the lungs. Air rushes in, inhalation. When these muscles relax, the ribs fall, the chest volume decreases, and air is pushed out, exhalation. But the most important muscle of all sits beneath your lungs, the diaphragm. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, creating extra space in the chest. During exhalation, it relaxes and moves upward, gently pushing air out. This type of breathing, diaphragmatic or belly breathing, is what your body naturally uses at rest. To allow the lungs to slide smoothly as they expand and contract, they're wrapped in two thin layers called the pleura. The visceral pleura covers the lungs. The parietal pleura lines the chest wall and diaphragm. Between them lies a thin, slippery fluid that reduces friction and allows effortless movement like to glass plates gliding on a drop of water. Without this lubrication, every breath would be painful. From your nasal passages to the tiniest alveoli, your respiratory system performs a beautiful choreography every second, filtering air, protecting your lungs, exchanging vital gases, and keeping you alive. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the respiratory system, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us at Health Reimagined for more journeys inside the human body.